Hello everyone, welcome back to the fourth episode of Economics in Action from Economicsportal. And this video is about a term that most of us have heard about, Gross Domestic Product or GDP. Let's explore what the Gross Domestic Product is in this short video. Before explaining what GDP is, we need to know some of the terms like consumer spending, government transfers, disposable incomes, stock, bond, private savings, financial markets, investment spending, and so on. Okay, let's start with consumer spending. Consumer spending is basically the household spending on goods and services, like we spending on food, health, education, and all. Next, the government transfers. Government transfers are payments by the government to individuals for which no goods or services are provided in return. For example, unemployment security, old age security, and many others. Similarly, a stock is the share in the ownership of any company held by the shareholder. Similarly, disposable income is the total amount of money with the consumer to spend and save. Mathematically, it is equal to income plus government transfer minus the taxes. And private savings is the disposable income that is not spent on consumption. Now we need to know about financial markets. So, what are financial markets? These are the banking, stock markets, which channel private savings and foreign lending into investment spending, government borrowing, and foreign borrowing, where investment spending means the spending on productive physical capital, such as machinery and construction of buildings, and on changes to inventories, which means like investing to buy cars for future sales. Similarly, government borrowing means the money borrowed by government for its operation or developmental activities. All the terms I introduced gives us idea how the money flows within any economy. There are some others too, but all these are enough to get the basic idea. Now, let's explore other terms called final goods and services and intermediate goods and services. Final goods and services are goods and services sold to the final or end user. For example, a car sold to a customer is a final good, or rice sold for household purpose is also a final good. Whereas intermediate goods and services are those goods and services bought from one firm by another firm that are inputs of production for final goods and services. For instance, if wheat is bought by a hotel to make momos and sell, the wheat here is intermediate good. But if the wheat were bought to make momos and eat rather than sell, the wheat would have been a final good. Now, let's go for GDP. Gross Domestic Product or GDP is the total value of final goods or services produced in any economy for a year. Mathematically, GDP equals the sum of consumer spending, government purchases of goods and services, investment spending, exports, minus the spending on imports. All these terms I have explained already. Now, the question arises why the GDP is only the value of final goods and services. Why cannot we include intermediate goods and services? Let's take an example of a hypothetical economy where there are only three firms. They are an ore company, a steel company, and a motor company. Let's see a table of all these three companies with the value of the sales and intermediate goods. Well, in this case, the ore company sells raw iron to steel company at $4,200. The steel company then converts the raw iron into steel and sells it to motor company for $9,000. Eventually, the motor company converts the steel into a car and sells it to consumer at $21,500. The final good here is car, whose value is $21,500, which is equal to the GDP for this economy. If we had added the value of sales of all three companies, we would have added the value of ore 3 times and steel 2 times. That would not give a real value. That is why GDP is equal to the total value of final goods and services. This is all about the basic idea of what gross domestic product is. Thank you everyone. Please don't forget to subscribe the channel. Have a good time and stay blessed.